Hello, and welcome to a very special training and launch event. Today is July 29th, 2014, and my name is Megan Renner from the United States Breastfeeding Committee, and we are very excited to host this webinar today on how to use the new Supporting Nursing Moms presentation platform. As I said, I am your moderator and host for today from the United States Breastfeeding Committee. And so I'm going to talk through just a bit of logistics about the webinar format for this afternoon before we get started. First of all, I'm going to give you this link a couple of different times during today's session, but it is a key one that you're going to want to write down, and this is the web page from which you can download the fabulous resource, the platform that you will be seeing today. You can see it here on your screen, or if you haven't gotten onto the web yet and you want to write this down, the link is www.usbreastfeeding.org/SN as in Nancy, M as in Mary, W-platform. So again, you'll see that a couple of times throughout the day, and it is a page on the USBC website where you can download the resources. And ultimately, today's webinar training is being recorded, and we will post the recording on this link as well. So as is usual with our USBC webinars, today's session we will all be in listen-only mode. But as usual, you can submit a question at any time during the webinar, and you will do this by typing it into the questions box on your webinar control panel. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. You should have a GoToWebinar control panel on your computer, and it will look something like this on the left. It's also possible that it may have minimized itself, and if you see that it has minimized itself, you might only see this little piece that I'm circling with my highlighter here. If you see just that little tab, go ahead and click the orange arrow, and it will pop it back out for you so that you can see the full thing. And then once it is the full component of the control panel, like you see on the left, you will have the questions box where you can type into the box that says type question here. And again, you can do that at any point during the session. Just another little bit of logistics. If you happen to be having technical issues, problems with your audio, or other questions along the way, please do send us an email to office@usbreastfeeding.org, and there's someone there who can help with connection issues if perhaps you're on the phone and not able to connect, or vice versa. So we will have actually 3 different folks presenting today to show us this platform. The PowerPoint presentation platform you will see today was designed by Aspire Communications, and you see Robert Lane will be presenting today from Aspire, and written by Every Mother Incorporated, and you see we have Kathy Carruthers, based on content from the Business Case for Breastfeeding training curriculum and the new Employer Solutions online resource from the Office on Women's Health. And we're very thrilled to host this webinar today. Nearly every day at USBC, we have been hearing from employers, employees, and those who support them, desperately seeking concrete examples and practical information about how to make breastfeeding and working possible. And this platform is a component of new resources that will help to ensure that support is available when employers and employees need it. The resource fulfills a tremendous need identified by the field, and those of you here today are perfectly positioned to implement this work in your communities across the country. Another piece that makes this very timely is that, of course, at the end of this week, we will be launching National Breastfeeding Month, the month of August. So this new resource has arrived at a very prime moment, and I want to just highlight that for the first week of the month for World Breastfeeding Week, as well as the first week of the National Breastfeeding Month campaign, we will be focusing on workplace support as the theme. And we will, of course, be promoting this fabulous resource and the new online searchable resource from the Office on Women's Health as well. You can learn how you can get more involved in the National Breastfeeding Month campaign by visiting the campaign homepage, which is at usbreastfeeding.org/NBM for National Breastfeeding Month. So we do invite you to join us both for the first week focused on workplace and throughout the month of August. So now I will introduce Kathy Carruthers, who will present first, and will introduce our other speakers. Kathy Carruthers is co-director of Every Mother Incorporated. She has spearheaded numerous national breastfeeding initiatives, including the HRSA Maternal and Child Health Bureau Project, the business case for breastfeeding, and USDA's Using Loving Support to Grow and Glow in WIC, and Loving Support through Peer Counseling initiatives. We are so excited to have Kathy with us today, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the presentation over to Kathy, and she will be live to show us her screen in just a moment. So Kathy, you are now live. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you all so much, and welcome to everyone. This is a tremendously exciting opportunity for all of us, and I'm very, very proud that this platform is able to be housed at the website of the United States Breastfeeding Committee, and we look forward to working with you all through the weeks and months ahead to help support your efforts to support nursing moms in the workplace. As Megan mentioned, this curriculum that you're going to be seeing was originally based on the business case for breastfeeding. And many of you with local breastfeeding coalitions will remember that several years ago we went out around the country. We went to 36 U.S. states and provided training programs that were state-based and community-based around the country. All in all, I believe we trained over 3,000 people using the business case for breastfeeding curriculum. And I know that many of you have been using this curriculum with your coalitions, with employers within your community as well. So what we've done is we have taken that curriculum and much of the content that is already included in that curriculum, and we have designed this presentation platform in a way that enables us to utilize some of the many new resources that are now available through the new Office on Women's Health website. It's also designed and structured in a way that will be very compatible with the USDA WIC peer counseling platform, which is entitled Loving Support Through Peer Counseling, A Journey Together. And I know many of our WIC people and also many of our coalitions are very familiar with that platform as well. This curriculum that we're designing is or have developed is designed for trainers and presenters. So there's really many, many different options and ways that you will be able to use this curriculum. If you are with a local breastfeeding coalition, then this is something you can use to train additional people within your community. If you're with an organization, this platform can be used in training your members or your staff. If you work directly with mothers, there are sections of this platform that can be used in your classes, your support group meetings, and even one-on-one education with moms who are planning to return to work. And certainly the primary purpose for this would be to use this with the businesses in your community. Because it's designed in a very flexible format, you can use this for either presentations that you might be doing, whether it's a 5 or 10-minute slot on a local Chamber of Commerce meeting, or whether you're allowed to do a fuller presentation at a conference, for instance, maybe a chamber conference or a Society for Human Resource Management conference. Or you can also use it for one-on-one education with businesses. We are certainly encouraging many of our coalitions and breastfeeding advocates to use this platform to even provide training at local businesses, maybe at a factory or large companies where they need somebody to come in and train their supervisors. So you have many, many, many options for how to use this platform in a variety of manners. So again, we want to welcome you all. I'd like to introduce Doris McGuire just for a few moments. She is with Altarum Institute, and she has been a colleague working on the Office on Women's Health Webs project. And I wanted to allow her an opportunity to say hello and maybe say just a few words about that project. So Doris?
Hi Kathy, and hi all participants in the webinar. Yes, I just want to mention just a small piece of what you're going to hear today is a project that Altarum Institute and Every Mother were contracted with the Office of Women's Health to develop an online searchable resource to showcase creative solutions for supporting employees who are nursing their babies. And we had a special emphasis on employers of hourly overtime eligible employees and those working in more challenging work environments. And it's been a 3-year project that's just wrapping up, and it was built on the previous business case for breastfeeding. And we got the support of over 10 coalitions across the country to gather information from businesses, and we were able to go out and do site visits, and we developed we went to 24 different types of businesses based on the SHRM categories. And on the resource site, we actually have 28 videos from anything from agriculture to restaurants to hotels, and just the different solutions that these businesses have utilized, whether it was a problem with space or time. And this is all in response to the Affordable Care Act and providing protection for hourly workers and requiring time and space. So I don't know if any more detail I think will be covered, but we want to thank California, Kansas, Rhode Island, Colorado, Maryland, Texas, Connecticut, North Carolina, Washington, Indiana, and I know Kathy may have gotten some help from others she might want to mention. But in addition to those coalitions, we had people from across the country that submitted information on the online submission site that led to the development of this portion of the platform.
Thank you so much, Doris. And I do want to mention also the Georgia WIC program, I mean not Georgia WIC, but the Georgia Breastfeeding Coalition and Vermont as well, who were additional participants in this project. I do want to let you know that many of the photos that you're going to see in this platform, and there are thousands of photos in this overall platform, many of these photos came from the coalitions who went out into the field and took the photos of the local businesses. We also had the opportunity to utilize some photos provided by the Texas Department of State Health Services and the New York Department of Health as well. And so we certainly want to honor and recognize them for their contributions to this project. At this time, I'm going to turn the webinar over to Robert Lane of Aspire Communications. And Megan, I'll ask you to go ahead and make Robert the presenter so he can operate the slides from his end of things. Robert is an amazing man. He has is really the genius behind the concept for this approach and has done just a brilliant job of putting together this platform. So Robert, I'm going to turn it over to you and allow you to walk everyone through some of the logistics and technical aspects of how to download this platform.
Great. Well, you've heard Kathy mention the term platform. So what exactly is that? What you're going to be doing when you train with these materials, you're going to be using PowerPoint. It's the PowerPoint that you've always known. It's just that we're doing it a little bit differently. So before getting into the logistics of how you're going to use it, you're actually seeing us use the concept already while presenting. But before getting into the details, I want to give you a sense of what is the logic behind its design. What's the research? Why is this presentation form going to be different than probably anything you've done before, and why does it matter? Let's start off with the concept of how the presentation materials will differ from what you may be used to. You're going to see a little bit of text on slides, but not much. Most of the presentation materials are highly visual, and the reason is that when we put words on slides, even though we see those with our eyes, those words are actually translated in the brain as verbal information. If you want to prove that to yourself, just read a book silently. You can actually hear yourself reading. That's because it's verbal processing. Now that would be fine, except that while we're giving a presentation, we also talk to people. And that's another form of verbal information. And the problem is when we have two forms of verbal information, the brain can't handle that. It can't handle two forms of things coming into the ears. It's exactly like if two people come up to you and they're talking at the same time and you just say, wait, one at a time, I can't understand you both. That's exactly what we're doing to our audiences when we put a bunch of text on slides. They're trying to pay attention to the one and then they pay attention to the other. It creates a situation called cognitive conflict, where they go back and forth between the two, and essentially they get nothing. It's an absolutely horrible, horrible thing to do to our audiences, and it's done every day all around the world. So we're going to do something different. In your presentation materials, you're going to talk, you're going to give all the details verbally, but then you're also going to be highly visual. Because here's the interesting thing about verbal and visual information when it's done together. Verbal information tends to get processed in mostly left frontal regions of the brain, whereas visual gets shunted to the back, crosses over into the right hemisphere, and then back and forth between the two hemispheres, depending on what kind of visual information it is. The point being, these are two very, very different forms of information. And because they're processed in pretty much separate regions of the brain, we can do both of those at the same time. That's why we can be in a movie theater and things are blowing up and crashing all around, and yet we can still pay attention to the dialogue because the processing is happening in two different ways. So the best possible thing that you can do with your audience is the best way to maintain retention, to help them learn, to help them remember what you're talking about, is to be both visual and verbal at the same time. That's our goal. Now, let me just say one more thing about research. There's some fascinating stuff in all of this, and I want to take you on a trip really quickly. I'm going to take you to Paris. I have just dumped you in a pâtisserie. It's a bakery in Paris, if you've ever been there. What you may not realize is that you're salivating more now than you were a moment ago. You can't help it. It's automatic. Because if we were to do an FMRI scan of your brain right now, looking at this picture, it would look almost identical to if you really were standing in that bakery. See, the cognitive areas of our brain, it can tell the difference. It knows you're looking at a picture on a computer screen, but the deeper parts that are connected to your emotions, to your bodily responses, to your long-term memory, those parts of your brain cannot tell the difference between a picture and reality. It thinks you are really there, and that means you have unbelievable power as a presenter to take people to any place, show them anything, any reality that you want to show them by being visual and giving them the details of what those visuals mean on top of that. So again, you may be a little surprised when you start using your presentation materials that they don't have all the words on the slides that you can use as notes and look at your slides and know what you're talking about. You need to know what you're talking about, because what you're going to be doing with your presentations is showing people meaningful pictures that transport them into that place, put them there, and help them understand what they need to know by looking at that picture. So that's kind of the deal. Let's figure out how to get these materials into your hands. Let's talk about downloading. The file that you're going to download is called the curriculum. It's a zipped folder. So when you go onto the USB-C website, the link that Megan gave, it's going to take you here. These are little descriptive videos, anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes long, that walk you through downloading, unzipping, using. This is kind of like a miniature version of this session that we're doing today. It's pre-recorded for you, so you can go back and review these sessions. To actually get the platform on your computer, you're going to click the download link, and it's going to pull up a box, and however you can either do it this way if you download this way, or you can right-click the button and choose or save. I've got a whole different browser here. Anyway, if you do save target as, if you're using Internet Explorer, you can do it that way and save it to somewhere on your computer. One way or another, once you click that link, it's going to want you to save it. You're going to save it onto your computer. It's a very large file. It's probably going to take, it depends. If you have a really fast internet, it might take you 20 minutes. If you have a normal internet, it's probably going to take you somewhere between 1 to 3 hours. I absolutely recommend that you not download this at work if you can at all help it. if you're in an environment where there's servers, hospitals, things like that, it could take hours and hours and hours, maybe a whole day to download this, because servers tend to restrict the download speed, and it's just going to make your life difficult. Sometimes it will even corrupt the file if you try to download it in a server environment. It's just that it's 3 gigs. It's very large. So what I recommend that you do is to actually do that download at home and then put it on a memory stick, bring it into the office, put it on your computer. And I know maybe they may have some issues with security with that, but just check with your IT department. You're going to be much better off if you can download it on a faster connection. Now once you get the file downloaded on your computer, I'm going to switch over to my desktop here. You're going to see, I'll put that out of the way for the moment. You're going to see a folder that will look differently depending on what you have on your computer. I have 7-zip installed, so it looks like this. If you have WinZip installed, it's going to look like something else. It has kind of like a compression symbol graphic in the file. If you don't have any of those, if you just had regular Windows on your computer without any zip software installed, it's going to have a zipper on it. So you might see it'll look kind of like this, but with a zipper. Here's something to know about this file. You absolutely must unzip it for their presentation materials to work. Now you can actually, the way Windows works these days, I don't know if this is going to work on mine. It's probably going to unzip it. Yeah, it's going to automatically unzip it for me. But you can, if you don't have software like this installed that I do, actually go into that zip file and you can see all the files just like it's a regular folder. In fact, I'll just do it on this one for a second. And once you go, let's say that you leave it zipped. So you just download it, it's on your desktop, you open it, you're going to see these 3 folders. If I go into this one called Platform, I can see all the PowerPoint shows. You can access those shows when it's zipped, but if you try to run these shows, it's going to be a problem. The links will not work. So absolutely, you must unzip that folder as soon as you get it on your computer. So you're going to right-click it. If you don't have any software installed, you're going to see an option up here that says Extract Here probably, or Extract All, Extract, something like that. If you have WinZip installed, you'll have a WinZip folder here. I have a software called 7-zip that I like to use for zip files. Whatever you have on your computer, look for that Extract, Extract All. And in this case, I would use Extract Here. That's a great option because it's going to put it right here on the desktop. But go ahead and make sure that you extract it. When you do that, there's going to be a dialog box that comes up. And I already have it there, so I'll just say yes. And it's going to start extracting it. Now that extraction process takes a while as well. Figure a good hour to 2 hours, depending on how fast your computer is. When that's done, when it's all extracted, you'll see 2 folders on your computer. The original zipped one, probably it's best to just either move that to somewhere else on your computer or delete it altogether. You don't want this to be in the same area as the unzipped folder, which will look like this, because then you might accidentally go in there and open those shows and start using them, and then oops, your links won't work. So I'm just going to get this somewhere clear out of the way for the moment and pretend like it doesn't exist. All right, then we have our unzipped folder. This is what you're going to use for all your presentations, for your speaker notes. I'm just going to double-click that. Shows up on my other monitor. It has 3 folders inside, and we'll talk about the local folder in a moment. The speaker notes is where you're going to have, this is what Kathy has spent half of her life on recently, doing all of these. These have all of the details in them that you want to know about using these materials. It's just, she's done amazing things. She's put screenshots of the slides in here. She's given you details on what to say, the story behind that slide, why it's there, everything. It's just really, really good stuff. And the entire curriculum is mapped out in those notes. So you'll want to literally study those like you would study a book. That's what you're good. That's the details you're going to need for your slides. This other folder is where you'll find all of your presentation materials. So if I open that, there are something like 370 slideshows in this folder. That's a whole bunch of slideshows. Now, if that looks intimidating, don't worry, because you don't ever have to open any of those, except the very first one at the top called main snmw.pptx. By the way, if you're using this platform, you definitely need to have at least 2007 installed on your computer. 2010, I personally don't recommend 2013. It's a mess right now. It's got some problems with it that probably will cause you problems with using this platform. That's Microsoft's issue, but at any rate, definitely I would go with 2010 if you have a choice. If you have 2007, that's okay too. Don't use a Mac. Well, okay, let me go back. If you're running a virtual whatever it is, platform on your Mac where you can open versions of PowerPoint for Microsoft, then yeah, you could probably get away with it. Don't use a Mac version of PowerPoint. 2008, 2011, technically you can, but you're going to have some problems if you do that. So I don't recommend it. Use an PC version in 2007 or 2010. All right, let's go into this first folder. And Kathy, feel free to chime in. I know you're in the background there if you want to say anything. We're kind of doing a dual presentation here. When you first open, okay, great. When you first open the slideshow, you're going to see this. This is, I guess you could say, kind of like the equivalent of a web homepage. If I were to put this into slide sorter view, this initial slide is kind of like a generic starting point. That's where you're going to, before the audience comes into the room or before you start talking with people, you'll pull up that slide. And then all of the other slides in this show are dashboards. And you can think of it very much like a website in the sense that you're going to move around between your content as though moving around within a website. Now, for links to work, you absolutely must start the slideshow. If I go to one of these slides, so let's say that you have this on your computer and you're ready to use it and you start clicking these links and nothing happens. You go, oh my gosh, I did something wrong, I broke it. No, we didn't break it. All the links are there, all the links work, it's just that they don't function until you're running the slideshow. Now, it's a pretty good chance that you have never used hyperlinks in presentation, or if you have, maybe you've just done a little bit. This is a very sophisticated form of hyperlinking. What you see here, these links on this slide and all the other slides, those are all of those 370 shows that we just looked at. You will never open them manually. You'll always open them by hyperlink. So let's just pretend like we just started this talk and we're here ready to do our thing. You don't want to show this view to audiences if you can help it. It's still edit mode. You want to start the slideshow. Oh dear, hold on. I'm using another version of PowerPoint. Let me change my monitor setting. It's showing up on the other side. There. Okay. Now you can see it. All right, now the hyperlinks are active. If I hold my cursor over the links at the bottom, you see the little pointing hand. That's just like a hand on a website. That means that you're good to go. You can click the links. These links down here take you around between the different dashboards. So if I want to go to the return on investment dashboard, I'll click the return on investment link. If I want to click another one, say the national initiatives, I'll click over there on that one, and all of my links are available. So this is how you move around between your dashboards. These dashboards are topic specific. So everything that's on this particular dashboard saying national initiatives is something related to national initiatives. And then you'll find that category broken down into topics. So call to action items are up here, federal initiatives. When you click on those links, then you're going out to one of those little tiny slideshows. So let's say that I clicked on the Let's Move link. That takes me out to the slideshow. It opens on top of the dashboard, and then I can go through this content. These links here below are actually the links in this slide. So if you wanted to look at some details within this particular document, and this is going to totally belie everything I said about text, because here is some text. Just trust me, most of the time it's not text. In fact, I'm just going to go to a different document. We'll find something more interesting. How about employment? It only has one slide. These are how you can tell what is in this particular slideshow. So in this case, you see there's one link here. That means there's only one slide. If I scroll one more time, I'll go back to the dashboard, other than if I have animations on there, which this one does. And we'll talk about that in a moment. This little purple symbol down here at the bottom, that means animations. So when I scroll beyond the end of this slide, it takes me back, and then I can click something else. Again, if it only has one, it has one slide. Let's find one here that has more than one. Okay, so this slideshow has 3 slides. If it has a label, that's the number of slides that it has in it. So this is slide number 1. If I scroll, and I'm just going to roll my mouse wheel, I get the second slide. Notice that as I scroll, this little sort of faded gray in the button down here changes. So I'll scroll to the next slide. See that it changed over to this slide. That's a way of kind of keeping track of where you are in the slideshow. If I go back to the first slide, it's gray there. As I scroll through it, it will actually change to show my progress through the slideshow. Now again, this is the last slide in this show. I'm on the IRS one. If I scroll one more time, it's going to automatically end this slideshow and take me right back to the dashboard. Now, one other thing I'll mention before getting into some other technical details. Let's go back into one of these. Actually, I'm going to go to this one. This little button down in the very bottom here, it has the national breastfeeding symbol on it. That's a special button. What that does, it kind of acts like a hyperlink. But what it really does is to take you back to the dashboard. So you can be in any of these slides. Let's say that I'm on slide number 4 right here. And I decide, I don't want to talk anymore about this slideshow. I want to get back and pick something else. All you have to do is click that back button, and it immediately takes you right back to your dashboard, and you can pick something else. Or you can go to another dashboard and so forth. Almost identical to using a website. If you feel comfortable with websites, you're going to feel totally comfortable with this type of presentation. One other thing about these shows, I'll go back into where I was. Where did we go, Kathy? Did we go to preterm, or where was the one with the...
The purple one is under preterm, human milk,
okay.
With human milk, I think.
All right, let's look at this slide right here. So this is active navigation, by the way. You don't have to scroll through this show. It's linear in the sense that if I start scrolling, I'm going to go through 9 slides, because it has 1 to 9 slides. But if I don't want to go linear, all you have to do is click directly on the slide you want with the little purple bottom of some of these links means something. In this case, purple means that there's an animation on this slide. And if I scroll, I'm going to run that animation. So this is talking about, I don't remember what this slide is talking about, but let's say that you're here and you want to talk about the aspects of human milk that are going to animate into view. As I roll the wheel of my mouse, the first, oh yeah, this is return on investment, isn't it? So the first roll of the mouse wheel pulls up the first detail, and then the second roll pulls up the second detail. Now you wouldn't necessarily know that those are there by just looking at the slide. You can't see anything, but that little purple glow says, yeah, if I scroll, if I go over to this last one here, that's got animations there too. If I scroll, it's going to come up. So pay attention to the color that's at the bottom. Where was that other one we were going to go to, Kathy? Is that national initiatives?
Yeah, that's international initiatives, and look at CDC.
CDC, this guide to here? Okay.
Yes.
Another color that will be of interest to you is brown. When you see brown, that means that there is a document that can be opened. It's almost always a PDF document. I think a couple times it may be Word, but it's usually PDF. So I can click this button here, and that will open the literal document on top of your presentation materials. For me, I have two monitors open on the other monitor. But this is Adobe Reader, and I can scroll through the entire document. I can zoom in, zoom out, just like you would with any other PDF file. In other words, in effect, we're using this presentation platform as a type of content management. You've got video here, you've got PDF documents, you've got all kinds of slideshows, pictures, unbelievable resources available to you, all from within that, all starting from that one single slideshow that we opened to begin with. Now when you're done with this document, all you have to do is close the reader, and voila, you're right back to your slideshow, and again you can click the back button to go back to the dashboard. But let's stay here for a moment and talk about this one called website. That means when you see blue at the bottom that it has an active web link on it. And of course you have to have a active internet or nothing's going to happen. But I click this link, and because my internet is active, this is a web page. I've gone to that site, and I can click around any of these links just like I would with a normal website, close it, and you're right back to your dashboard or your slide again. So the three colors are purple for animation, brown for a document, blue for a website. However you want to remember those, blue, usually links are blue on websites, brown, think of a folder or something for a document, purple, I don't know. We just like purple. Purple's pretty. But purple's animation.
Robert, just to chime in here, I'll tell you how I remember purple, because I don't live far from New Orleans, so I think of purple as Mardi Gras and having fun. So that's a great way for me to remember. Purple is for your animations and your fun
Purple
stuff.
is motion. All right. Next time I'm in New Orleans, I'll remember that.
All right.
Kathy and I have so much fun working together. We have a ball. All right, let's look at one other. You may have noticed this other little color thingy down here. There's one other glow that you're going to see. It's kind of a whitish, grayish, whatever you want to call that. That means that that particular category of information is so big that it doesn't fit on a regular dashboard. So let's just go to that. And Kathy's going to walk you through some of this content in a little while. So I'll let her give you the meat of it, but I'll just show you how this works. All of these links are what are called internal links. They stay within that first slideshow that you opened, so you're just moving around between the slides in that show. This category is so big that we can't fit all the links. Like these links up here, there's so many. How many are there? 200 and something links in that category. We can't fit them all on this dashboard. So we're actually taking you out to a separate slideshow, a separate dashboard that looks like this. And now these links work just like the ones on where we were. If you want to say go to talk about an agriculture-related accommodation for breastfeeding, you would come here. These links actually open the slideshow. And you can see that sometimes we use thumbnail links at the bottom, so it gives you kind of a preview of what you're going to get. If you want to look at what the solution is for an outside farm, you can click right on that slide and, oh, it's a pop-up tent. So that's what they're using on this farm to help mothers with their pumping or what they're doing. So again, these work just like any other link. You can click on these to go completely non-linear, or you can start at the very beginning and just roll your mouse and scroll through the slides. Notice that we're using full screen pictures again. And as you're showing these pictures, you're telling the story of this is, I don't know what her name is, but she has a name, I'm sure, and she's this, and that, and here's her situation, and here's what she does. And then when you get to the end, the last slide, then you can scroll past that and you're right back to your dashboard again. Now, these are, again, category related, so anytime you're dealing with, say, I don't know, education's a big one. If you want to look at what universities are doing, you're going to come here and go off into that slideshow. Anytime here, just like anywhere else, you can click the back button to come back to here. If you want to get back to the main dashboard where we started, you'll click the back button one more time to come back to where we started. So the way to think about this type of presentation, it's all in little pieces. Just like when we have a verbal conversation with people, we're in a cafe, we string together words. Those go to make sentences, and sentences make whatever. You're dynamically stringing together any number of words to make a conversation. That's exactly what you're going to do with this type of presentation. In effect, these are like your visual words. It's like your visual vocabulary. You're going to show these on demand as you need them to help explain your verbal words. And again, that goes back to that dual processing component we talked about earlier. You're saying it and showing it at the same time as much as possible. I was going to say something else profound. What was it, Kathy?
I'm not reading your mind, sorry.
Okay, let me see if there's anything else we need to cover with that. We did the navigation buttons. Yeah, the only thing is don't click this little button here until you're ready to end the slideshow, because that's literally going to take you back to edit mode. Now, if you do accidentally click that, it's no big deal. You can just go back into your slideshow again, and you're right back. Why do we have this button in here? Let me show you. Because this is Kathy's presentation materials. I happen to have access to all of her presentation materials as well as mine, and as well as some other people that I work with. When Kathy presents, that platform that you're getting, that we've just been looking at, is one of multiple. And then she has all of her own presentation materials down here. So the reason we put that little back button in your platform is that someday you may link this platform to another platform, and to another platform, and to another platform. In that case, when you're out in that platform, you need to be able to get back to your presentation materials, which are out somewhere else, and you'll click that back button and you'll be right back to your, in this case, Kathy's dashboard. So this stuff can be layered as much as you want. In fact, let's just talk about, let's say theoretically that you feel very inspired by this and you want to kind of customize these presentation materials to your own interests, your own needs, your own environment, your own pictures, whatnot. First thing to know is do not, we're going to send out the police, the presentation police after you if you change these presentation materials. The ones that you're getting that you download, do not change those. If you do, then whenever we come out with a new version, which there's always bugs that we have to fix, and I think we've got most of them, but we may add some things. We did some last-minute acknowledgement stuff this morning even. So if you change the presentation materials that you download because you want them to look more like your situation, when you get a new version of this, it's going to overwrite everything that you did. You're going to lose it all. So don't change these materials. What you will do is use this little button down here called Local. So let me just go back out of here for a second. I'm just going to completely close out. And let's go to where we were. So remember when you opened this, you had 3 folders. You had your speaker notes, you had your platform with all your shows in it, and then you have a local folder. That local folder has 1 show in it. And if I open that, it's just a boring blank show. 1 slide. This is intended to be your dashboard. So you can make links on this dashboard and it goes out to your slideshows. You can put whatever you want in those slideshows, hopefully a bunch of wonderful descriptive pictures. And then you'll put a back button. You can copy this back button, paste it into your shows. It will take you back to this dashboard. And then you'll click this back button to close and go back to the main dashboard. So it literally will look like this if I go back into this show. You're yak-and moving around between all of these and doing your thing, and you say, let me show you something that we're doing in our area that's yada, yada, yada. You want to show some data or something. You'll click that local button. This is where your links are, or will be. You go off there. You talk about that little tiny slideshow, hopefully. Don't make a big, long, linear one with bullet points, or we're really going to come after you with police. So you go off into that content, come back to this dashboard, with your back button, click the back button again, and you're right back here with all of your other material. So this is as flexible, comprehensive, and customized as you want it to be. You just need to use your imagination a little bit and figure out how you want to use it. All right, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover, Kathy. If you want to take over from here.
Thank you, Robert. And
maybe back over to you for your...
Let's go ahead and switch. We'll try that. I'm actually in a hotel, and so the connection's a little bit iffy, but I think we're good to go right now. So we'll go ahead and switch back to my screen. I hope you all are getting a sense from having heard Robert's presentation just how amazing all these resources really are. It's very, very exciting, and I don't know about you, but when I first started learning how to do this, I just got tremendously excited. And once I started using the materials, I was ruined for life. I can never go back to the old way of presenting again. This is a lot of fun. It's easy to do, and it really is meaningful. I get continually comments from audiences now in my presentations that I do. I always in my evaluations get comments that people say, I love your visuals. I got so much out of it because of all the photos and the stories. It really sunk in, and I was able to remember everything. So I really urge you all to get excited about this and hopefully begin to adapt this for your own work as well. I do want to just make one other comment. I'm going to kind of walk you through just very briefly the content that we've included. And want to just let you know, my visual that I think of when I think about using a platform like this is I kind of think about a library. Because at my home, I love books, and I used to have millions of books, and I've scaled back a little bit. But I typically kind of organize my books in my office library by topics. I have books related to breastfeeding and educating children. I have books related to counseling. I have books all grouped together related to clinical management. I have books related to the promotion and support of breastfeeding. So when I need to find a particular resource, I know exactly where to go by just simply going to that section of the library where I know those books are. And I have found now that by organizing all of my slides in this way topically, I can find anything I want anytime I need it. I used to have probably 400 slide presentations on my computer, and whenever I would try to find something, it took me forever to find anything because I was constantly adapting and making changes to little presentations. But now, because it's organized topically, I can always find exactly what I need very, very quickly. So it has changed my life, I have to say. I'm also going to just encourage you all to play around with this. Once you download it, just spend some time clicking around and getting comfortable with it. It's a lot of fun to see all the wonderful things that are here, and I think you'll really enjoy it. But I think playing around with it will make a big difference. The final thing I want to mention before I start showing you some of this is that this platform, you're probably wondering, where's my cheat sheet? Where are my bullet points? How am I going to know what to say about all of these things? And after I get through showing you a brief overview of the topic and content that we have, we'll show you an example of the speaker notes that we have prepared for you that will give you a photo image of every single slide in this platform and some content, bullet point content that you can use as kind of your cheat sheet. I typically put my speaker notes on my iPad, and I have my iPad right up there at the front when I'm presenting, so it's very easy to access what I want very quickly. Robert, you'll have to let me know if for any reason if there's a big delay because of my connection in my hotel room, and if that's the case, we'll switch back to you to manage for me. But assuming everything is going well, I'll just point you to the navigation buttons at the bottom and show you that we have quite a number of different topics. We have a section on worksite programs, national initiatives, legislation, nursing moms at work, return on investment, program options, policies, outreach, and counseling. And then our remaining sections really deal with some resources that you're going to want to refer to. So I'm going to go ahead and open the HHS Worksite Programs dashboard. This dashboard provides a lot of great information. It has information about the business case for breastfeeding that was developed by the Maternal Child Health Bureau. So if you need to refer to how to order that business case or how to download some of the resources, you can access that. We have thumbnail images of the actual PDF files within the business case. So you can just quickly click on one of those and it'll bring up the document, the PDF, just as Robert explained a little earlier. Up at the top right here, you see a section called OWH Employer Solutions. And these are slide presentations that walk you through some of the resources that are available in the new website that has launched just a few weeks ago. And I'm going to click on one of those. This is a presentation that we're using a lot to walk people through the various resources that are now available. When you scroll down through them, you can actually use this presentation, if you don't have internet in your training room, to walk people through what the resources look like. So we try to develop this platform in a way that will give you complete flexibility to be able to either show it through the internet or be able to show it from this platform if you do not have internet. So we'll kind of click back, but that's kind of walks you through that. We have slides dealing with an overview of the project. We have slides dealing with how many states participated in this project and some of our partners along the way. We do have two toolkits that are currently not live. We're still waiting to get those final toolkits completed and approved and cleared, and once those are cleared, hopefully very soon, we'll be uploading those as well, and that will be one of the emails you will get from Megan at some point that will say we have a new version up, and we'll make sure that these toolkits are included in that next version that goes up. So I wanted to let you all know that's coming. The National Initiative section is a great topical section. There's a lot of information here. The Surgeon General's call to action, we took that call to action. You can open the document through the Open Document tab, or you can actually click on individual sections to the call to action. If you wanted to go straight to employment and talk about employment, then you can click on the Employment tab, and that will give you all of the action items out of the call to action that specifically deal with employment. When you're done, as Robert said, you can either scroll through each one individually, go through them in a linear way, or if you only wanted to show one or two, you can click your back button and you're right back where you were. Federal initiatives, we have slide presentations that give you some resources, the CDC Guide to Breastfeeding Interventions, the National Prevention Strategy, resources from federal agencies, and these are primarily related to worksite support, the Office on Personnel Management, and we did include some information on the It's Only Natural campaign with links there as well. The Healthy People 2020, we actually took all of the goals to the Healthy People 2020 related to breastfeeding, and we've broken those down individually. So rather than showing everything there is to do with breastfeeding support in the Healthy People 2020 goals, you can actually just click on the ones that you would like to show. And for some reason, mine isn't coming up. Robert, is it coming up on your screen? There we go.
No, actually not. I think you went back into a wormhole again.
I think I did.
Okay,
All
it's
right.
good now. Yeah, your
Good.
speed's been fine up to recently. It probably just comes and goes.
I think that's what it is. We do have a fabulous section on legislation, and we took the Affordable Care Act provision related to workplace support, and we divided those into very small PowerPoint presentations that just deal with each aspect of the Affordable Care Act. So if you have questions from your audience related to certain aspects of the Affordable Care Act, rather than having to show them one big long show, you can just go right to what you need to show them. So we have slides dealing with reasonable time, private place, the fact that it's targeting non-exempt workers currently, that whole miscommunication and confusion people have about if you have less than 50 employees, are you exempt from the law, and so we provide the clarification there. And we also have some slides dealing with the DOL resources. So you can download the DOL fact sheet number 73. We also have information about the Break Time for Nursing Mothers card that you can download as well. We added some text dealing with the Affordable Care Act, the essential benefits related to counseling and equipment, because we have found that a lot of times when people are presenting this information to the business community, this question is coming up. Can we get a breast pump through the through our insurance company? Is this something we could provide for our employees? So we have some information and slides dealing with that. And then we have a great section on other legislation, and this is the one that probably will change from time to time as new legislation comes out. You can have a link here to go directly to the new page on the DOL website that provides information and a map related to legislation in the various states. We also have the link to the updated site to the National Conference of State Legislatures. So if you would like to show data from your own state, you can open this website if you have internet connection and show the content directly related to your state. We do have a little information about 3 states. We included some information about Oregon, California, New York, as well as the Navajo Nation, because these all have some nuances and interesting things related to their laws regarding breastfeeding in the workplace. So we thought that might be helpful to some of you as you're talking about some different models for worksite support legislation. We have some slides dealing with the Supporting Nursing Mothers Act, and of course this is a bill that is in process right now. It hasn't actually been passed, but there is information about what the tenets of this law would include, as well as a bill tracker. So you can actually go to the website in your training presentation and you can bring it up and find out what the latest status of that bill is. We have a similar set of slides dealing with the Paid Leave Act, and we also had one slide, a very short show, but we felt it was really important that we be sure to remember the Americans with Disabilities Act and what the law says about supporting moms if they are disabled or have an issue along that line. So there will be a little information there. There's a section titled Nursing Moms at Work, and this provides a lot of information really focusing on the mother. How many women are working today? How many mothers are working today? All those statistics that you might want to bring up in a presentation. There's slides dealing with barriers to breastfeeding when moms go back to work. And then a section of slides we call What Moms Want, and that provides information on maternity leave, access to babies, support, lactation experts, etc. This is the things that the research tells us the mothers need to be successful with breastfeeding when they return to work. And then we included a little section on low-wage earners, some specific challenges and unique challenges we have read about in the research related to women who are working in difficult job settings and hourly jobs. What Moms Say is a great little section where we included some photos and pictures of workplaces and quotes from mothers working in a variety of worksite settings. These come right out of the new OWH website resource. And we included these because we felt like if you are in a training situation with businesses, you might want to actually show them just how meaningful worksite accommodations can be to the mothers. So we've provided about 6 different options that you could show. The return on investment section has a lot of information that you'll be very familiar with if you have been using the old business case for breastfeeding curriculum. So all of that ROI information, the bottom line benefits, health savings, absenteeism, presenteeism, how breastfeeding support in the workplace reduces turnover rates, productivity has improved, recruitment, etc. We did get permission from the Society for Human Resource Management to include their latest edition of the Employee Benefits Survey, so that is included in this website as well, or this platform. We're very pleased about that. And then Breastfeeding Impact has some information about the way breastfeeding supports infant and maternal health and the cost benefits for providing support. And a lot of this information comes from Melissa Bartik's great research that she has been conducting. So we're very pleased that we have that data in here. And I do want to point out that we do provide reference citations for these particular ones, because we've actually had a lot of businesses want to know, well, where's the citation for that? Where's the proof that that really exists? So we have included some of those citations if you feel that that's important to include. We have a section on program options. This comes again right out of the old business case for breastfeeding curriculum. There's slides dealing with planning a worksite accommodation program, communicating a program to supervisors, employees, and co-workers, setting up special events, setting up community events. There's slides dealing with some details related to space, to time, handling human milk, as well as education and support, some of the options that businesses might want to consider whenever they're working with setting up a program. There are some great slides dealing with policies, and I do want to show you this one slide because it's pretty cool. It's a great example of why we feel that this kind of interactive and visual approach is much more powerful. In the old curriculum, we actually had a slide that had a very big chart with a whole lot of text that listed out some of the maternity paid leave or maternity leave policies in other countries of the world. And we got rid of that slide completely and decided to make that visual. So it begins with a picture. And we would urge you to consider asking your audience to imagine themselves being in the shoes of this mom who has given birth to twins, to imagine themselves what they might be feeling like during those early days of maternity leave. And ask your audience, what do you think a mother like this needs before she comes back to work? How long of a maternity leave do you think is going to be important? And that's a great springboard for discussion amongst the audience. We have found that this slide is very powerful in getting people to start talking about their own experiences. And then what invariably happens is people want to know, well, what is the maternity leave policy in the U.S.? And so there you can go right here, and you see we've got the purple animation, so that tells us that there's going to be a little more information. So now, rather than having a list, you can see visually how pitiful it is that the United States is one of the only countries in the world without maternity leave. Now, because it has a purple animation button, you simply scroll down, and that'll show you the 4 countries of the world that do not have paid maternity leave. And then you can go to the next slide, and if you wanted to show what the maternity leave policy is for any one of these particular countries, then you simply put your little hand over that country and you click, and that's going to bring up what the maternity leave policy is in that country. And to get rid of that, you just click again and it goes away. So I like to ask my audience, tell me what countries you would like to know about. Which countries would you, maternity leave policies would you most like to learn about? And if you are finding in your trainings that there are a lot of countries we have not included, just let us know. The next time there's a new version that goes up, we'll be happy to add additional countries. But we've included the ones we have heard the most, we seem to have the most requests for. So there's more information here on policies, sample policies. There's a section on conducting outreach with businesses, and this comes right out of the old curriculum, so those of you who are familiar with that will recognize most of what's here. This is a great section for those of you who do education and training with moms. If you offer classes to moms, you'll be able to bring up this section. There are slideshows dealing with supporting moms, preparing to return to work, how to make the most of your maternity leave, options for phasing back to work, looking for options to have direct access to your baby at work if that is a possibility, how to prepare the baby for going back to work, and how to introduce a bottle to the baby once you go back to work. There are some clinical slides dealing with basic milk production and how to rebuild supply if the mother finds that it begins to wane when she goes back to work. We have a lot of great slides dealing with pumping and milk expression, some great slides dealing with hands-on pumping. We know from research mothers who do hands-on pumping get double the milk yield, so I think it's really critical that we educate moms about those options. We have slides dealing with phasing back to work and just how to talk to your boss about your needs, how to take care of yourself, how to work with coworkers, and a set of great slides dealing with breastfeeding and integrating support with the child care center. And I want to especially give some credit for these slides to the Indiana Perinatal Network, which went out and got some fabulous photos that we were given permission to use. So thank you to Indiana for that. We also have a section of slides dealing with case studies. These are just some examples of a few businesses that have been able to calculate their bottom line benefits as a result of providing lactation support. So if you need to show those, they're here as part of your resource section. We have a few picture stories that, again, are here as a resource for you if you'd like to show some visual examples of various things. We have a very large section of space solutions, and this provides a lot of fabulous resources. Robert showed you one of them, and here's just the way these pages are set up, where you can just look at the thumbnails across the bottom and select the one that you would most like to show as you talk about single-use space, multiple-use space, closets that have been converted, exam rooms, patient rooms that have been converted, bathrooms that have been converted, locker rooms, companies that have integrated policies to make sure that any new construction will also include a lactation space. There are options for businesses looking for more flexible options that where they really cannot have a designated room and they need to have some more flexible options, so you see a lot of them there. Outdoor options, options for privacy and signage, and lots of options for room amenities. Robert's already showed you the business example section, so I'm not going to go into detail. But these, again, all of these are pulled right out of the new website. A lot of the photos that are on the website. Again, this just gives you the option to be able to show some of these business profiles directly from your platform, particularly if you don't have internet in your room. And Robert did a beautiful job of setting these up. They're easy to see. You can go right to the industry. The industries line up directly with the same industry categories that we used on the website, and you can find whatever business you'd like to highlight, and again, you can show whatever slides that you would like to show. Finally, we do have a section called websites, where we have taken all of the website links that are found throughout the platform and we put them all together on this one page. So if you are in another show and you think, oh wow, there was a great web link for the CDC, where was that link? What page was that on? And you start freaking out. Well, don't freak out. Just go to the website page, because you're going to find everything organized very easily here. We did the same thing with resources. All of the documents that are embedded into the platform are also included here, so that you can easily come here if you can't remember where you saw that resource. Finally, I want to mention the video page. I'm really, really excited and proud about this page. We have some fabulous videos. These are all of the videos that are included on the new website. So if you're doing a training presentation and you would like to show any number of these videos, they are here and available for you to be able to show. You'll see we have 4 blank spaces under Working Moms. Our next revision of the platform hopefully will also include these 4 videos. These are YouTube videos that we are currently going through clearance right now. They highlight the stories of 4 mothers who have 4 very unique and different stories of how they were able to combine breastfeeding and employment. So as soon as those are through the clearance process, we'll be integrating those into this page as well. So that's a quick tour through the website. I do want to show you the speaker notes just so you'll see what that looks like. I'll just maybe open one of them here. just to give you a quick synopsis,
Yeah,
this is
just
what
FYI, we need I need a couple minutes to talk about the logistics of the PowerPoint thing too. We forgot that.
Sure,
So
sure. We'll definitely do that. So this is the speaker notes, and you'll see we have an image of the dashboard, and then we've provided the individual slide thumbnails of each individual slide. And in blue, I put the title so you'll know which section of that dashboard these slides are coming from. So you can just scroll through those. You know, it's up to you how you want to use these. As I mentioned, I typically put them on my iPad so they're easy for me to find if I need them. But I will urge you all to review your speaker notes before you show up in a training. Make sure you are familiar with your content. Feel free to copy and paste the sections that you plan to be presenting or you feel like you're going to be presenting. And that may help give you a little bit of peace of mind as well. The final thing I wanted to mention before I turn it back over to Robert to review just the resources on the USVC website, I want to remind you all there are some fabulous, fabulous photos throughout this entire platform. You're going to get really excited because they're just beautiful photos. And we often get a lot of people asking us, can we have permission to take these photos and use them in other things like our posters or other presentations we might be doing, or promotional materials or a website, etc. Right now, we do not have permission for you to just pull any photo you want out of the platform. If you feel like there's a photo that you would like to use, if you will just drop me an email and let me know which ones that you're most interested in using, I can let you know either A, they are okay for you to use because the government owns them, or B, you need to go to a particular state who gave those to you with that. So Robert, I'm going to turn it back over to you, and Megan, if you can make Robert the presenter again, he can show the USVC website.
Yep. Let me I forgot to mention one little bitty detail that you'll need to know when you get this platform on your computer. You need to make a couple of tiny changes. Excuse me a second. When I talk for long, I get frogs. Okay. When you get this on your computer, you need to make two little changes to your PowerPoint settings, or the platform is not going to work as efficiently as it should. So you only have to make this change one time per computer. So if you always use the same computer for your presentation materials, you're good to go. But if you switch between different computers, you need to make it for each of those computers. This looks slightly different depending on if you're in 2007 or 2010 or 13, but it's basically the same area. You're going to click on the File button, and depending on what version you're in, you're going to look for the Options button. Sometimes it may be way down there and you have to scroll down, but you look for Options. Or in 2007, I think it's called PowerPoint Options, and it's somewhere down here. You're going to click that. You'll see this dialog box coming up. It's going to default you on the General tab. You want to go to the Advanced tab and scroll down a little bit if you need to. These two boxes right here called Show Pop-Up Toolbar and End with Black Slide will be checked by default. You want to uncheck those. The Show Pop-Up Toolbar is that little toolbar that sits down here in the bottom right corner with the arrows. I don't know if anybody ever uses that, but even if they do, it interferes with the navigation that's in your platform. So you want to get rid of it. And then the End with Black Slide, that's that thing that comes up after you scroll past the last slide in your slideshow that says click to exit. You don't ever want that showing up because you're going to be going between many, many, many little presentations, and if you scroll past the last slide, you're going to get that black slide every time. It's just annoying to you and the audience. So just uncheck that. So go ahead and make those two changes. I'll say one other thing other than talking about the FAQ. When you're out in your presentations and you've got several slides, you don't have to click each time on the navigation at the bottom. It's actually a lot more effective for your audience just to roll your mouse instead of clicking the links. That will scroll through the slides, and you won't distract them by moving your mouse at the bottom. So just kind of keep that in mind. We're about ready for question and answer. Just let me show you very quickly the website if I still have it open. I hope I do. If you do have questions that we don't answer in this session again, you can go through these little videos that gives you a lot of the details that you need to know. In this last video, it has my email contact. If you just can't get something working and you're desperate, you can feel free to contact me and I'll help you out. I will say these two things. If your links don't work, the first thing you check is whether you unzip the file. That's 99% of the time that's what it is. The file is not unzipped, the original one that you downloaded. And the second thing is make sure you start your slideshow, because they only work after the slideshow is running. Those two things, you're good to go. One other tiny little thing, other than these frequently asked questions and things down there. If you're using 2010, it has a little bug in it to where sometimes the link will disappear and it only looks like the arrow. If that happens, and I'm still in edit mode, but all you have to do is jiggle your mouse a little bit and the link will magically reappear. It's a bug that Microsoft never got around to fixing, and it's only true for 2010. So if you're in that version, get used to jiggling your mouse. All right, that's it for me, Kathy.
Thank you, Robert. Well, I want to again thank the United States Breastfeeding Committee for hosting this wonderful platform, all the resources, and we look forward to all of you working with us. And we look forward to hearing from you how this platform works for you and the positive impact that we believe it will make for the business community. And I will say that the business community is used to seeing really polished presentations, and many of them are beginning to go to this kind of format. So this is, I think, something that will resonate very, very well with the business community. We've had very positive feedback from them already. So we look forward to that. And Megan, at this time, I'll turn it back over to you and any questions and answers that we might need to provide.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kathy and Robert and Doris as well. We do have a number of questions coming in here. So I'm going to start with the first one is actually asking, is the platform compatible with online meeting spaces like Adobe Connect?
That's a Robert question. Robert, are you there?
You might be muted if you're...
Sorry, I was muted. Okay, come on then. Yeah, it doesn't matter what platform you use for online presentation. We're using GoToWebinar right now. I personally use WebEx. If you want Adobe Connect, it's fine. The main thing is that you do not upload anything to, you don't use that form of web presentation, you screen share. As long as you screen share, you can use anything, and literally people are seeing what's on your screen. You don't have any problem. If you try uploading all this stuff, first of all, it's 3 gigs. It's going to be a disaster, and your links aren't going to work half of the time. So just use screen sharing.
Got it. We have a number of very excited and amazed comments, so that's fabulous. We also have some folks who are asking about the Mac question, and I know you said that it's not compatible with Macs right now. Are there any plans for it to become a Mac-friendly in the future?
Well, if I could go in and change the world, then yeah. But since that's probably not going to happen, basically the only chance that you have of using a Mac to make this work really well is to get a dual operating system on there to where you can use this in a PC environment. And some people do that, and that's fine. The problem with the Mac version of PowerPoint 2008 and 2011, it's got several design issues with it that just, well, I won't even get into it. I think it was probably done on purpose, but it just doesn't work well for this type of presentation. You're going to be very frustrated if you try to use this in a Mac environment. So the only chance that you have unless Microsoft and Apple ever make up to each other, is to use it as a dual system on your Mac, dual operating system.
And yeah, that's very interesting to us at USBC actually, because we have about half of our staff team is split between Macs and PCs, so we experience quite a lot the differences between the programs. But I understand what you're saying to be the situation where you have a Mac computer, but you can actually run a Windows operating system on the Mac computer,
Exactly.
and you're running both, correct?
Yeah, and then you'll just use the PC version of PowerPoint 2007, 10, or 13.
When you're going to use the platform. Got it. Okay. I have heard of that, but it sounds a little bit foreign, but I have seen and heard it work. Some other questions. When the mother baby icon is used as a back button, and when is it taking you to all of your presentations?
I'm not sure if I understand that question, but basically I'll just kind of demonstrate. Right here, we're in that first slideshow that we open, the only one you ever physically open in front of an audience or when you're getting ready to speak. Everything else opens by hyperlink. So once I click on a dashboard link and then I click one of these, I'm actually I've opened another presentation on top of that first one we opened. Now, I didn't do it manually, I did it by hyperlink. The back button simply closes that upper presentation and takes me back to the lower one. It's always like you're on a website and you click a link to go out to a page, and then you click the back button to come back to where you were. It's always out, back, out, back, out, back. So you're basically, when you click the back button, it's bringing you back to all of your dashboards again.
Got it. Thanks, Robert. Another question about using the platform. Do you have to install the platform from the website, or can you work from the work site and use as you need it, which I think they mean if they are visiting a particular work site, how does it work to be using it at that work site?
That's an interesting question. It's such a big platform that you would have to work it out with them in advance if you wanted to put it on their computers, and I don't recommend doing that. That you're going to be much safer if you have your own computer, always use your own computer, and just present like you would walk into the room, hook it up to the projector, and go for it. You're asking for trouble if you use someone else's equipment every single time.
And just to add to that, lots of times when I've done presentations at conferences, people will tell me, bring your presentation on a memory stick and we're going to load it to the computer in the training room or in the presentation room. And I just don't do that anymore. I actually just bring my own computer and I hook up my computer, because it's the same thing. You not only are not sure how long it's going to take for everything to load, but you aren't sure. You've got to go make all the changes to that conference laptop to make sure that the black slide disappears, and etc. It's just safer to use your own computer if possible.
Well, and I will say that's absolutely true. I agree with Kathy. However, it is a good idea to take a backup on a thumb drive or even two, so just in case your computer dies and you don't have any choice, you have to use another one. You can run this whole thing off of a memory stick. I mean, it's 3 gigs, 4 gig memory stick, you're good to go. Take along a backup just in case.
Good point.
Good advice. What strategies do you recommend for reaching and motivating employers to attend your training?
That's a very good question, and I think at the Coalition Conference we're going to be rolling out some resources. Doris may want to answer something about that, about the new document that you all have created.
Yeah, and actually this is kind of a good segue to plug our webinar that we're going to have specific to how the coalitions can utilize the worksite website. We're going to have a webinar on Thursday, August 7th, and then one for the businesses in September 4th. So we'll actually go through how the coalitions can utilize the materials and just some suggestions and kind of brainstorm that.
Right, but just to give you a quick answer, I will say trying to hold an event and going out and getting business to come to it will probably not work. They just don't want to do it. I would recommend either hosting your own webinars for businesses in your community or in your state, or partnering with other organizations that provide webinars and getting the businesses to participate. And again, Karen and Robbie Gonzalez, Karen Farley, and Doris and I will be on that webinar on the 7th, and that'll provide a lot more detail about how to engage the business community.
And I might just add, Kathy, as everybody's pretty aware, if you just know someone in that business, you know, word of mouth, and you know an employer, there's someone in WIC works, the WIC client works there, or something in the community that you have a contact person, that always helps.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just a couple more very quick ones that I think are very relevant perhaps to all folks trying to use the platform. Do you suggest anything in particular if you only have Microsoft Office 2013 version, how people might address that?
It'll work okay. It's just got sometimes there's some bugs with pictures. There's a delay when you scroll a lot of times where it takes a couple of seconds for the slide to change. It's just annoying things that are unacceptable, but you can get around it. Honestly, I have 13. I've gone back to 2010, but if you only have 13, use it. It'll get you by.
And is it likely to perhaps get better over time as Microsoft rolls out bugs?
That's another half hour.
Bug fixes.
We can only hope.
I can hope.
Yeah.
One can dream. Okay, then the last really quick one, I think this is a critical one. Can you copy just what you need into a flash drive? I think that's a critical distinction, right?
Don't get me started on that, Kathy. You better answer that one.
You're talking about, I'm not sure I'm fully understanding. You mean like just copy certain shows?
Yes, exactly. Could you copy just the parts that you wanted to use in a particular situation just to a flash drive?
Well, I mean, there's always that possibility, but it wouldn't be linked to everything else. You know, you would only be able to use those particular slides, and you really kind of defeat the whole purpose of having all of these resources at your disposal. I cannot emphasize enough the value you're going to find in having all of your resources at your fingertips. I have been to so many presentations. I've done hundreds of presentations. And every time I do, a business person will say, well, what about such and such situation? Well, what about this? What about that? And you never know what kinds of questions are going to be, going to be asked. And when you have everything together in one platform and it's all there, and you scroll around to the things that specifically answer those questions, it's powerful.
Yeah, I'll just add to that this is like being in a cafe. When you really get good with this, you're going to move around and present as though you're having a conversation with people. You're just doing it visually, and it doesn't get any better than that. You need access to all of that content.
Wonderful. Well, on that note, I think we've run just a couple minutes over time, but I appreciate taking a last couple of logistical questions. I've gone ahead and put up the link here, again, to the download web page, and again, all of the video tutorials are there with different components of troubleshooting, how to download, and all the parts of using it. And then we'll also be posting this training webinar there as well, so if there's folks who were not able to attend today live, they can look for that webinar download. It should be up within 24 hours. So thank you again to our wonderful presenters today, to Kathy and Robert and Doris, and thanks to all of the attendees. We hope to be seeing many of you this weekend in Washington, D.C. And so we will look to see you there, or if we don't see you in person, then have a wonderful National Breastfeeding Month and happy platforming. Thanks, everybody. Take care.